Welcome everyone to Unscripted Coding. Today I want to show you guys deep research. And no, it's not the ChatGPT one, it's the brand new OpenAI API for deep research. This is really exciting because deep research on ChatGPT is just awesome. And now we have an API that we can use to bring it into our scripts, our workflows, our automations. In this case, if you haven't used it yet, deep research isn't just on OpenAI, it's on Google Gemini as well. Basically, you ask it, please compile a research on all the ways to exercise your biceps, let's say. And what it will do is it will go into a web search, leveraging different tools. Maybe if you wanted to build it on your own through Google, and it will go through 50, maybe 100, maybe 300 different sites. And it's going to parse through each of them to try and answer your question. It's going to summarize, float up certain important details from one source and then another, and bring them all together, and you finally get a final response. Now, of course, the response can be anything you want. You could ask it to do a report, an essay, an epic poem, whatever. But what it's doing is it's taking that 5, 10, maybe even 20 minutes to go through many different sources and float up useful information. Now, if you're just asking, can you rewrite this email? That's not that helpful. But if you're asking about stock research, about finance research, about legal, academic, whatever, those sources, it's super useful. Now, one of the things is we were always able to build this on our own. If you look at Google's API, they have something called grounding in which you can connect a Google web search into this tool. The problem has really been one, you want models prompts to be geared towards this. And it's very interesting to me that OpenAI has specific deep research models. And I think it's just a different way to synthesize information. So it makes sense to me that it's different. The other thing is if you wanted to build it on your own, the prompting is really difficult. I imagine, given how well OpenAI's deep research works, that it pulls in different prompts depending on what you wanted to do. If you want to research something that's academic, factual, versus if you want to research opinions on Reddit, different kind of prompts so that it helps float up the relevant information. Um, Finally, the last bit is we don't know what the secret sauce is because OpenAI is just asking it to do a web search. Uh, Google does a Google search. It's predictable, it's fairly reliable, but it's not perfect. OpenAI seems to have a bit of a secret sauce as well of where it's picking its articles from. So I'm interested to see if that comes through in the API the same way that it does on ChatGPT. But if you were using other search algorithms, the results just aren't that good, aren't the same as Google or OpenAI. So what I did was I took the basic task here, the basic code here, and I have pasted it into Python already. And I've actually been waiting probably 5 minutes or so for a response. I'm surprised in some ways, but deep research is supposed to take a good chunk of time to get to a response. Now, the one change I did do is I have to, of course, stick in a valid API key, but asking the actual question is fairly straightforward. You have that initial prompt. We've seen this before. It's a response API you create, you choose the right model. In this case, it's O3 Deep Research. And I'm thinking maybe I want to go for something quicker, like O4 mini deep research. And I'm going to kick myself here if it was supposed to show up, but let's stop, go O4 mini and see if we can get a faster response here. Oh boy, something's wrong here. I was having a bit of problems with my VS Code, so I'm just going to do this manually. And then Python, and then py, and we're going to start running it. Okay, that is fine. We specify the model on the input test, but most importantly, we have to enable some tools. They gave the option of code interpreter because they suggested that certain types of research, I imagine finance research, you could benefit from running code on whatever data they synthesize. In our case, web search is super important, but the other thing that you can take advantage of is MCP. So we could add another tool, MCP, and create a server that connects to your OneDrive, your Dropbox, your Notion, wherever you store your personal data. Now, the reason I don't want to go too deep into this is because the response will look a bit odd to anyone that's used OpenAI in a more traditional sense. But for people who have used Cohere or Google, not all that different. So, of course, you're going to see a bunch of different things about the model you used, how many tokens, whatever. But in the message, you're going to see a bunch of different content. That has been true with the response API for a little bit now. But now what's new that I haven't seen before are these annotations. I haven't seen it from OpenAI, but now as I say it out loud, they must have done it a little bit as well because of the file inputs. But basically, annotations will pick and tell you which part of your text comes from which source. And in this case, this is a placeholder. It's probably much longer as a response. It says that Real Water Sports is the source at character 123 to 145. Now, I did pull up Cohere. I think they were the first ones to do this with citations, and they have almost exactly the same implementation. I just need to find it. Just one sec here. Where is it? Responses. So you're going to have the start and the end index, and you're going to know which part of this text it comes from. And so here it says 24 degrees Celsius. Where does it come from? Where does a 28 Celsius come from? Where are the sources? So not new at all, but it does look a bit odd. The other piece I wanted to talk about is this will not work the same way that ChatGPT does. That was the slightly sad realization as I went through this, because when I was looking at this, where is it? Okay, so where it is here. OpenAI isn't giving us the secret sauce in this API. If you listen to what I said earlier about how this works, you can imagine hacking together something similar. You just need to do a web search. You just need to compile all of those together. And in theory, write the right prompts to surface up the information. But what are the right prompts? What are the right results? Those are difficult questions. And so here, OpenAI is telling us how to prompt deep research models. And so they are saying when you talk to the AI, you can use an intermediate model. And you know in ChatGPT, when you ask it to do this deep research and then you ask it to respond about a question, it is doing a bit of context shifting. That is something that you have to program on your own if you want to use the API. Similarly, OpenAI seems to do a bit of prompt rewriting in the background. I've seen this with Google Gemini as well. And so under these best practices that they're sharing with us, I'm realizing that they're actually telling us, here's what we're not doing for you, and some of these are really important. And so all they're giving us is a um, more dedicated model for this kind of long style research. I imagine it summarizes better, it's more efficient. Um, so these this is important. And I also like that OpenAI is giving us their web search. I don't think it'll be as powerful as ChatGPT. So they're giving us half the secret sauce, I think. I am just going to see if this is ready yet, and of course it's not. So it's been, I think, 6 or 7 minutes since I started this. I'm surprised at how long it's taking. So I'm going to pause this video and come back when it's done. Okay, so that took a lot longer than I thought. It took about 40 minutes. And I did go online, and it looks like other people have had like half hour and even timeouts entirely. I'm guessing, and I'm trying to be generous here, I'm guessing it might be a bit overloaded, but this is a real problem. I'm looking at these, and there are good sources here. So Reuters, there's a government website, there's a pharmacare website somewhere else as well. But for the most part, these are good sources. The web search seems to work well. And I say this because I have done these kind of grounding tests before, and Google searches inevitably come up with um, store web pages and people's personal blogs, like very small time newspapers. And I'm just looking at these going, these are good sources um, that can be relied on. So there's that plus. I noticed there's a bit of breaking down of the response here. But again, to be fair, we were using O4 Mini to try and speed things up, and also, and I just lost my train of thought here. But we're using O4 Mini, and it just took a long time. But nevertheless, you could see that it is using Markdown. It's citing things. I'm not going to read through all of this, but I'm seeing list prices, Novo Nordisk. Like this looks like a legitimate response. Overall, I don't know if I'd use it. 40 minutes is a very, very long time, and OpenAI has to bring that down. Now, if I'm talking about just these results, it doesn't look bad. If I could get this down into 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I can see myself using this, but um, time normally shouldn't be an issue for these research projects, but if we're doing 40 minutes and in between trying to then adjust and turn it to the next topic and to the next topic, I think I would rather use grounding and basic searches and chaining those together. That's for my personal workflow though. I hope this was interesting for you to watch. With OpenAI APIs, I'm sure it'll get better over time, and then they'll release better and better models, but you can get something running right with the responses API that everyone is very much used to. So this can plug into your tool chain pretty easily as long as timing isn't an issue. So we'll play around with new things as they come out, but I hope that was an interesting look at the deep research API from OpenAI. Thanks. Bye.